Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan Lugo. Thank you so much for tuning in here on Tuesday, November 12th. Look, we could continue talking about another embarrassing loss for the Jacksonville Jaguars in which, the defense doesn't give up a touchdown, but the offense still just manages to do nothing outside of that first scoring drive. We could talk about it. We could talk about the horrible coaching that we've seen over the last couple months, the lack of talent in certain spots, the poor team building. We could talk about some of the good too. Like there was some nice performances, especially on the defensive side of the ball for the Jaguars. But right now, I feel like folks want to think about the future because right now the present is ugly. You've got a lame duck head coach. You've got a front office probably on the way out. You've got an injured star quarterback. Let's take a look, right, at 2025 and the Jaguars' biggest roster needs. We have talked about potential head coaching candidates. We're going to continue looking at potential general manager candidates. It's harder to do that because they're not as forward-facing. Guys that are in the front office that aren't GMs currently, I mean, you don't even barely hear from the GMs but a few times a year. And the folks that are under them that would be, up-and-coming general managers, they're not in front of the camera a lot either. And it's harder to see their actual impact. So it's easier to evaluate potential head coaches, right? But GMs we will look at, certainly. Because I think the Jaguars have got to make moves at both of those spots. But right now we're going to look at roster needs for 2025. We did kind of do this a little bit earlier in the year, but a lot has changed since then. And so we're going to look at spots where the Jaguars have outgoing free agents, positions where they just don't have anyone on the roster for 2025. And also look at some where there could be some potential change-ups and that could lead to them having needs there. So we're going to do that today. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can also check out genjag.com/shop. Pick up some new Duval gear. It is the final day to pre-order our Jacksonville sweatshirt, brand new sweatshirt, available for pre-order only through the end of the day. And you can also become a channel member here on YouTube. So the Jaguars, let's look at these needs, how they could potentially fill them as well. They have about $55 million in projected cap space. We still don't know the exact number that the 2025 salary cap will come in at. It's been growing a lot as of late. So we'll see how that plays out. But as of right now, they're projected about 54 million according to overthecap.com. They've got a boatload of draft picks. They've got extra picks in this draft, as they almost always do. So with these needs that the Jags have, with all the resources they're going to have, how can they address these needs? And for me, the biggest need, it's hard to say the biggest because there's some real big needs here. Three massive, glaring, crucial needs. One of them is at left tackle, which is arguably the second most important position in the sport. So Walker Little, who's their current starter, final year of his rookie deal, didn't make it into the starting lineup full time until a couple weeks ago, which horrible management by the Jacksonville Jaguars, roster management. Cam Robinson in Minnesota now coming off one of the worst games of his career against Josh Hines-Allen. So Walker Little slated to be a free agent. Cam Robinson obviously not with the team anymore. Anton Harrison is still with the team, so you don't have like a huge need on both sides at tackle, but you do have a need at tackle, right? One of those spots. So how could you fill that need? And look, they've got to do a better job protecting Trevor Lawrence consistently. Part of that comes down to talent on the offensive front. Part of it also comes down to coaching. I think coaching needs to be massively improved. But Anton Harrison, you keep him at right tackle. You could also flip him over to left tackle, as our buddy Jason from Jags United. We do the podcast every Wednesday night, Club Jaguar over on UCF Jaguars channel. He would like to see Anton at left tackle. And, Anton did play left tackle at Oklahoma, so it kind of makes sense. For 2025 and the future, that could be the Jaguars play. And then you just need to have a need at right tackle, which Right tackle is a little bit cheaper, a little bit easier to come by. When you do have a quarterback, the left side is the blind side when you have a right-handed passer. So I could see that certainly. I could also see saying, hey, we're just going to go find our left tackle of the future, and we're going to have Anton and a left tackle, bookends, feel good about it. The rookie class coming up in 2025, there's certainly some candidates to play left tackle. Um, a lot more questions than answers right now with some of them. I think you look at Will Campbell. I think he can survive at left tackle and even thrive, but he's not going to have that ideal arm length. So a lot of folks are going to want to kick him into guard. Kelvin Banks, another one where maybe not the quickest feet in the world, maybe not the best length, another candidate to kick inside to guard. Josh Simmons, my personal OT1, tore his ACL a few weeks back. So it's interesting if you want to address it with a rookie. You do have Javon Foster on the roster as well, who they drafted in the 4th round this year. Don't know if that's going to be anything beyond just a swing play or a depth piece at this point. So maybe you want to go into free agency to make sure you're not leaving a rookie out there with Trevor Lawrence on his blind side. You could bring back Walker Little. I don't think he's going to break the bank. He's playing decent football, though, overall. I mean, tough game against Philly, but who hasn't had a tough game against Philly? That front is playing great football. Did a good job, though, here against the Vikings last week. I think he's played positive football more than he has negative throughout his young career when he's gotten opportunities to start. So I would not be against Walker Little. I would not be against bringing Walker Little back and bringing in a rookie early on in the draft. There's also going to be some other guys out there. Not a ton of starting left tackles hit the market every year, though, right? Garrett Bowles is up there in age at 32, but he's certainly been a good starting tackle in his career. You could look at free agent market. I personally think you probably need to add a veteran, whether that's kind of one of those bridge veterans to a rookie or a big time guy, and a rookie. I think you need to attack this with multiple resources in 2025 because it hasn't been good enough up front for the Jaguars. And again, part of that is personnel, part of that is coaching. You're hoping that your coaching can get a lot more out of the personnel than you have over the last couple years. Flipping sides of the ball, I do think the second most important need for the Jaguars is outside cornerback opposite Tyson Campbell. You have Tyson Campbell locked in for a long time. He's a young player. He's a good player. He just played a really nice game against Justin Jefferson. Helped Foye Luke get an interception. So Tyson Campbell, he's your starter outside. You've also got Jarian Jones, who I think projects as a starter on the inside. Darnell Savage, don't know if he's going to be a safety or a corner moving forward. Don't know how long he's going to be around, but another inside player, right? So outside cornerback opposite Tyson Campbell, I think this rookie class coming up here in 2025, it is loaded with cornerbacks that could come in and potentially be long-term pieces. The Jaguars currently have the number 1 overall pick. So you could go Travis Hunter, which we talked about yesterday. You could go Will Johnson, which we talked about last week. I think if you wanted to get either of those guys at the top of this draft to play corner for you, that'd be fantastic to pair with Tyson Campbell. And you're paying Tyson Campbell a lot, so you don't necessarily want to pay another vet, premium money to fix this position. Rookie could be the way to go. And with guys like Travis Hunter or Will Johnson, I don't think that there would be a huge learning curve. Yeah, they need to grow. Every rookie does, but I think that they could come in and make a big impact, especially because they have Tyson Campbell on the other side, because they have Jarian Jones playing nickel. I think that would help them out a lot. So you could go that route. There's going to be vets out there. DJ Reed, I've loved his game. He's not the biggest or strongest or fastest, but he just knows how to cover. There's going to be guys out there you could bring in. And the Jaguars brought in Ronald Darby this year. That hasn't worked out super well. I think Ronald Darby at this point in his career should be one of the top backups on your roster at corner versus a number two corner. I think you can say the same thing about Buster Brown. Both of those guys have different traits they bring to the field that can be positive, but overall, there's aspects of their games that are lacking. So you could definitely go veteran. I think you got to take a rookie early on to kind of build out the foundation of that room. Corner is just so important this day and age. And if you can take what is currently a weakness, outside cornerback, and go get, again, Travis Hunter or Will Johnson, now you're talking about making that a strength. That'd be a lot of fun. Going to get into the rest of these needs, but first, got to remind y'all to check out Underdog Fantasy for Pick'em and a whole lot more. You can use code Duval Daily on their easy-to-use mobile app or UnderdogFantasy.com, and Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash Pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. This season, Underdog is running specials, promos, bonuses almost every single day. Like Profit Boost, you can pump up your winnings in just a tap when you apply the boost to eligible entries. There's tons of options upcoming for Jaguars and Lions. Maybe you're looking at the Lions to have a big day against the Jags. Who knows? But if you want to pick a running back like Tank Bigsby, Travis Etienne, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery to score, Underdog has Vulture protection to rescue your pick'em if your running back gets Vulture. That's Underdog Fantasy. Promo code Duval Daily to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona 1-800-NEXT-STEP. That's 1-800-639-8783 or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Shout out to Underdog Fantasy. So, safety, another big-time need. Andre Sisco is entering free agency after the year. His rookie contract is done. He's had a disappointing year. I think a lot of the secondary has had a bit of a disappointing year. A lot of the team as a whole. So it's hard for me to say, has Andre Sisco regressed massively? I mean, his play on the field, certainly. There's been moments where it's like, if you are a veteran in this league, you should not be having some of the missed reads and assignments that you've seen from him this year. But at the same time, you've seen that from a lot of folks. And the question is, does Andre Sisco just need better coaching? What's the deal? Because he's been a ball hawk throughout his young career, and that hasn't necessarily been the case this year. I think he's played a little better as of late, but there's still been missed opportunities. He's a free agent. Will he want to be back here? Will whoever's making the decisions want him back here? Maybe. I don't know. Your other safety position right now is also a big question mark because Antonio Johnson hasn't taken that step in year two you were really hoping for. Dewey Wingard has been more of a rotational player role player throughout his career. Darnell Savage is not a very good starting safety. You've got more questions than answers at the safety position. Now, like cornerback, this is a very, very, very good safety class. You could potentially go get two safeties in the 2025 NFL draft and feel pretty good about it. You probably also want to bring in a vet because you don't want a bunch of young guys back there running around not knowing what they're doing. But this is a really good safety class. I like a lot of these guys. I think that you can at least get one starter from this draft class, and then maybe go get a veteran free agent. The good thing about safety and free agency, you really don't have to overpay the position. It's one of those undervalued positions. I mean, yeah, if you're getting someone at the peak of their position entering their prime, yes, it's going to cost you, but you can go get quality starting veteran safeties, somebody that fits what you want to do defensively pretty much every year. And you can survive that way. Now, we'll see how the Jaguars end up playing that position out, but I definitely think safety is one that they're going to have to make some big decisions at there. And it's, even though it's undervalued, it's still an absolutely critical position. We've seen that this year. When your safeties are not reading things properly, it's lights out. It's game over on some plays. I think guard is another big need potentially. You have Cooper Hodges, who has now had lower body leg injuries in back to back years. So it's kind of hard to feel like you're gonna have him in the starting lineup and feel, this guy. He's someone who I think has potential and just needs reps, and he hasn't been able to get him due to injury. I'm doubtful that Brandon Sheriff comes back. He's going to be 33 years old. He has just been an absolute warrior battling through injuries here in Jacksonville and being able to continue playing. But certainly not the player he was when he arrived in Jacksonville or he was in his prime in Washington, but still a good pass protector. So, I mean, who knows? But I kind of doubt that continues. So he's a free agent. Ezra Cleveland will be back. So it's not like you're looking to fill multiple starting spots at guard. Ezra Cleveland will be a starter for the Jaguars at guard next year. But you could be looking at the draft for this spot. I think there's a number of guys playing guard right now that make sense in the college football realm for the 2025 draft, but there's also a lot of tackles that could kick inside to guard, and potentially you could find your answer that way. And then similar to safety, I mean, you can find starting guards in free agency and not break the bank. They're not necessarily going to come in and be world beaters, but people who, with the right coaching and the right scheme, can get the job done for you. So, they've got options at guard, no doubt about it. But they're probably going to have to plug in somebody at right guard next year unless they bring Brandon Sheriff back for his year 33. I think he'll turn 34 during next season. You don't know where Cooper Hodges is going to be. So, yeah, not a great situation there. And then finally, wide receiver. This is like a probably need, maybe need. If you look at the roster right now for next year, you do have Brian Thomas Jr., you do have Christian Kirk. Evan Ingram is a big time receiving threat. I think that Britton Strange should also be a receiving threat. So it's not like completely, and I mean, Gabe Davis is going to be there, but he's been a disappointment in Jacksonville, certainly. But I've talked about this. It wouldn't surprise me if Christian Kirk has played his last down in Jacksonville. He's an expensive veteran who plays a position that's kind of a luxury to pay. He's an exclusively slot receiver, and most of the guys that get paid the way he does that align in the slot a lot also have the outside versatility, right? Like they're guys that you can move around. And Christian Kirk doesn't really have that, unfortunately. I mean, I think he's a very good player. I think if he is back, and he's also had 2 back-to-back season-ending surgeries. So I just wouldn't be surprised if the Jaguars, whoever's making the decision, says, hey, it's been a good run. You're a good football player. Injuries have certainly not helped us out here with Christian Kirk, but money-wise, we just want to go in a different direction. Because the Jaguars, by releasing him or trading him, would save a ton. By releasing him, they'd save $10 million against the cap next year. $10 million that could be spent on another veteran, potentially. You could certainly address the position in the draft multiple times. There's going to be talented receivers throughout day 2 and even into early day 3 of this draft. Always is. There's guys that could potentially be available as well. T. Higgins, there's no resolution there in Cincinnati. DeAndre Hopkins up there in age, but how much could Trevor Lawrence do with somebody who just knows how to catch the football at the catch point, whether he's covered or not, right? That's the type of player Trevor Lawrence has needed for a long time. Chris Godwin, he'll be coming off injury, right? But there's going to be other guys too. So we'll see what the Jaguars end up doing here at these spots, but those are definitely the biggest areas of need for this roster. I think a lot of people might say, what about interior defensive line? Well, Devon Hamilton is, in my opinion, playing his best football that he has in a while. I think it took some time to get back into real football shape and play close to his peak, right? Close to his best. But he's doing that, and he's under contract. Eric Armstead's going to be under contract. If I'm a potential GM or coach coming in here looking at this roster and I'm saying, well, we have Eric Armstead. He needs to be playing 3-tech. We have Devon Hamilton. He can be that big, gap eater and play the run and create some push for us. That's not a bad duo. Problem is the current regime doesn't think they should be on the field together. So, but I think that's kind of should be your two starters in 2025 on the interior. That'll do it though. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this. Just kind of, again, not wanting to beat a dead horse with this coaching staff or these game reviews, trying to give y'all something fresh. So again, really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can also check out genjag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear, become a channel member here on YouTube. Y'all have a good one.